Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Combat Talk, your favorite MMA show. And this week's topics we're going to talk about the Midwest scene for MMA. We're going to talk about some new fights. We're going to talk about the best fighters from each organization. And we got some, let me see. Yeah, we got a lot of the best fighters going on right now. We got some new fights. We got some injuries to talk about. So stay tuned after the commercial break, guys. Be right back. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. That was commercial break. But now, let's get into the first segment. Now, we're going to talk about the Midwest scene for MMA. First, we're going to start off with our jiu-jitsu scene. Now, the jiu-jitsu scene locally is mainly the competitions. We got Grappling Industries, we got Naga, we got Grappling Games, we got Fuji, we got Believe. Now, the only issue with some of the tournaments, local tournaments, is you will get screwed on points, and sometimes the refs are idiots and other words I cannot say. And they can be rude, or they can disagree, or they can just not give you points. I recommend tournaments, like local tournaments, for people that just started or people that are just wanting matches and haven't competed in a while. That's what I recommend it for. The tournaments that I do mainly are ADCC, the Opens mainly, and IBJJF. I did do a Fuji. Now, my only complaint, I do love Fuji, but my only complaint is you should be giving points when it's due, and they're not doing that. A lot of the refs aren't giving the points because either they favor the other person or they might not like you, and it's very annoying because you shouldn't be doing that in the first place. Being biased does not help you. Other than that, ADCC, I do recommend. It's a very wild tournament. You will end up on the floor, off the mat. You will get your head smashed, and you will get slammed. Will recommend it. I think it's one of the biggest no-gi tournaments after CGI from Craig Jones. The MMA scene, it depends on where you fight and where you're at in the Midwest. One of the newer ones that's big right now is Anthony Pettis' company AFC. Yeah, I think that's what it's called. I've seen some guys that I knew fight on the cards for him, and they did really well. The way that he runs is very well done. He actually does invite a lot of, MMA, UFC fighters to his cards. He's invited Dustin Poirier, Tony Ferguson, Demetrius Johnson, Jose Aldo, all those guys. What other? There's the Matador Challenge in Cicero, so you guys should check that out. I do think the biggest issue you'll see, it's not even just in the Midwest, but a lot of the Midwest guys are having is you can't find a lot of guys to compete against, and especially for the women too. It's very hard. As a girl that competes, I think the hardest thing is there's not a lot of girls my age and my size, especially when I was younger. I started when I was in middle school and now almost graduating high school. So it's crazy to think, but at the same time, if you want to give yourself that challenge, step up to the plate and do the IBJJF, do the ADCCs. It is good for you. I think competing should be your own choice, and I think it does do a lot of good service to you because it tests you to see how much you know and how much you're willing to put yourself through it, and if you're actually good at the sport. There are times where you will have bad days, and you'll get through it like everybody else, just saying. A lot of the top competitors right now in the Midwest, you got Pedigo's really good. They have Jacob Couch, Wiltsey, Michael Pixley. Yeah, that's a good team. Who else? Right now, like around me in the Porter County area, there's Premier. There's like the Carlson Gracie's teams. There's shout out to my team, Choke You, with Pat, who actually interviewed a couple weeks ago. You guys might have seen that. Trying to think. Who else? But yeah, there's a lot of other good teams. There's Duke Griffiths in Wisconsin, I want to say. But the only thing too is like the Midwest scene. I think a lot of the Midwest athletes are probably some of the best athletes you will see. If you do watch UFC a lot, you will know who Darren Elkins is. He's actually from here, from the Porter County area. He actually trains at Premier in Maryville. So, just saying. But I do recommend competing for women, especially because we need a lot of more women in the sport because there are not as many. And I think a lot of us don't have the representation that we need, and we need more women out there. And you will see that in the Midwest that you might have to drive a couple hours to go to a tournament, or you might have to go to a different state for a tournament because there's not as many people for you. And that is a big issue, but if you're willing to do this sport, that's what you have to put up with, and that's what you have to do. And it sucks, but at the same time, like, you have to realize that if you want to get better, you got to go with the girls that are going to challenge you the most, and especially do the most, and especially put the challenge out there. But at the same time, number one tournament that I recommend, IBJJF, they're probably the most structured. When you go to their tournament, what you'll see is that, like, you'll get a time when you compete. So your first division, when you go in there, it's called, like, we call it the pit. So basically every mat has a ring coordinator. What that means is someone's wearing a vest and it has a mat number. So your mat number, you want to follow that person. You'll have your name called out. So you and the person that you're competing against, you'll go with the ring coordinator and you'll go to the mat. You'll wait a little bit. Maybe the match is finishing up before you or whatever, or you're waiting for the ref. So they'll do that. And then I think the rules are pretty much self-explanatory. One key thing, if you're new to competing or you do compete and you don't read the rules, please read the rules, because there's a lot of things that at certain belt levels you cannot do. And a lot of people the one thing that I hate the most is reaping when you go over the knee, because that can actually blow someone's knee out very quickly, and it's a very horrible injury. No one wants that. But the IBJJF, they're pretty structured. A lot of their refs, to ref for the IBJJF, you have to take a course and you have to pass it, I think, at least 80 to 90%, if not 100. Closest you have to get is 90, I think, for the most part. But what they say goes, and the ref, what they say goes, and you do not argue. So it's just bad. You don't want that. And ADCC, if you're a no-gi person, you just don't feel comfortable in the gi, or you just are making the transition, or you do both like me, I do recommend it. ADCC, their rules are very different. I think a lot of tournaments, the issue is they'll always say, like, oh, we have IBJJF rules. No, you don't. You're flexing it and bending it to a certain extent where you can almost injure the person, and that's not okay. ADCC, like, for example, for a takedown, you have to get them on their back automatically, and that's 2 points. To get, like, past the guard, you have to get them, like, either on the side of their back, or they're leaning up almost, or fully on their back to get points. The point system, there's a lot of different takes you can get where you either stall the person or you're just automatically going for points. You don't care about the submission, which in the end all, you can care about the submission or you could care about the points, or you could just be the person that automatically goes what they can get. But that's up to you. I do recommend competing. I also do recommend fighting. For me, it was always, like, starting out competing was a lot harder than people think it is, especially as a girl. Like, a lot of girls, they can be mean, but it is what it is. You will deal with trash talking. You will be dealing with refs that think because you're a girl that they can stop the match because they don't want you getting hurt. Funny story. We're going to get into it. I don't care because you guys are going to hear it anyways, and you guys should know the reality of what happens to girl athletes in jiu-jitsu. There was a time, 2-3 years ago, I competed at a tournament, believe their first year. I had to go against all guys because all the girls, they didn't have a girls division for me, so they said go with guys, so I did. A good friend of mine, I competed against him, and the referee thought I was about to get hurt, but I was actually about to pass and escape the triangle choke, and the ref stopped it because I was a girl and he didn't want me getting hurt. Like, what is that? Like, that's so stupid. But hey, if you're in the Midwest, you want to compete, check out smoothcomp.com. They have all the tournaments for you. They have all the local ones and everything. But we're going to throw it to the first song. What am I saying? Segment? I meant song. We're going to go to Welcome to the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. Hello, everybody, and welcome back. That was the first song of the show. Welcome to the Black Parade by My Chemical Romance. Now, our next segment, we're going to talk about some new fights and some injuries. Dan Hooker had to pull out of the fight because he broke his hand. Poor dude. It's actually a good fight. He was supposed to fight Gaethje. Now it's not happening. So Gaethje did get a replacement fight. He got Rafael Fiziev. I think that's how you say his name. But they actually did fight before, and I'm pretty sure Rafael won. Pretty sure. Don't know. Then we have the most controversial man in MMA right now. We have Bryce Mitchell versus John Silva. I don't even know what to say about that. Then we have Jose Aldo versus Ayman Zabibi. Then we have Jessica Andrade versus Jasmine. Then we have Chito Vera versus Bautista. So that's going to be interesting. But then our big fight that we have that got announced yesterday or a couple days ago, Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree. What? Let's dive into it. First, we have Justin Gaethje versus Rafael. I think a lot of it's going to come down to striking. I think if they go to the ground, I think Rafael controls that fight. I just think he's been working a lot more on the ground game, and he's been able to control more on the ground, and he's been working on it. Gaethje, I would love to see if he can control him and control the fight. If it does go the distance, I think Rafael wins it. I'm calling Rafael. Just saying. I just don't think Gaethje can handle it anymore, especially after the Holloway fight. We kind of saw that. Does Gaethje still have it? Can he take that much power? But that's up to him and see if his body can withstand it and if he's able to go the distance. Next fight, Bryce Mitchell versus John Silva. Bryce Mitchell's been in the heat recently for the comments that he's made. He's been talking a lot of crap and smack about other people. And Bryce Mitchell, as much as he wants to talk, he is decent, but he's not that good. I think he needs to realize just because you're cocky and egotistical, that means you have to back it up in your fights. That doesn't mean you can talk all you want and not back it up. Like, you are a fighter for a reason. I'm going to say Bryce Mitchell because I really know the other guy, but hopefully when it gets down to it, we're going to do some fight predictions for you guys, and we could talk about it more then when the fight gets closer. But on to the next fight, Jose Aldo versus Ayman Zabibi. I thought, in my opinion, Jose Aldo retired. I didn't think he was still fighting. I thought he did retire after he got put in the Hall of Fame. It's hard to say what's going to happen. I hope Jose Aldo wins and then he retires because I would hate to see him be left with brain trauma or something happen to him where he ends up with a concussion or he has too much brain damage, because I think that'd be really bad. Jose Aldo has such a great legacy and had such a great career, so I would hate to see something bad happen to him, but hopefully for you guys, Jose Aldo pulls through. So we're hoping and praying for that. Jessica Andrade versus Jasmine. I think what is today? Can't talk. Jessica Andrade is going to take it in the bag. The way that she's improved through all of her fights, especially through her losses. But if you really look at her career, she's fought the who's who. She's fought for the title many times. She's fought a lot of the number one girls in the division. Jessica Andrade's improved so much with her striking and her ground game. So to see her go to this fight and go into this fight, I would say I want her to win either second or third round. Chito versus Bautista. Chito's winning. That's all I gotta say. Then the last fight, Jamal Hill versus Khalil Roundtree. Oof. Khalil just has way better skills, and he's way more well-rounded than Jamal Hill. I think Jamal Hill is good. I just think he's very delusional, and I think he makes things up as he says stuff, because Jamal Hill, you did not win the Pereira fight. You got knocked out, and you got put on your butt. So I think we need to go to the hospital to check your brain out still, because you're still feeling the after effects of that. And Khalil Roundtree is just going to knock him out. second round. So that's all I have for the new fights that came out. But on to our next song. We have 5 More Minutes by the War and Treaty. Stay tuned, guys. We got some more stuff to talk about. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Combat Talk. That was the War and Treaty, 5 More Minutes. On to our next segment. We're going to keep it short and sweet so we can get to the other segments. We're going to talk about Juliana Pena is set to fight Kayla Harrison at UFC 316 on June 7th. What do I think about this fight? I think Kayla, with her judo background, she's going to do very well. I think she's going to be able to control the fight. I think Juliana has a lot of power, but at the same time, I don't think she can handle the power from Kayla, because Kayla has heavy hands too. Kayla reminds me of like a stockier version of Amanda Nunes and white, but yeah. Amanda Nunes, there was talk about her fighting Kayla, but it's not going to happen because Amanda's been retired now for the last 2 years, pretty much. And so is her wife too, Nina. And with this fight, Juliana and Kayla, I'm more interested to see if the fight goes long distance or if it gets cut short. Either way is perfectly fine. At the same time, we never want to leave it in the judges' hands because we never knew what the judges are going to decide. But either way, it's going to be a good fight. I kind of want to see if Kayla goes automatically to her judo and she tries to take her down, or if Juliana goes into the wrestling and she takes her down really quick because she's been working on it. Either way, Juliana, you can talk the talk, but can you walk the walk? Because she's been talking a lot of smack too about Kayla. And she's been complaining about Amanda. Amanda is not coming back for you. She does not care about you. You're just another name to her. Like, you're just another body. Sorry. You're another body with arms, legs, and stuff that we can kick and punch. Pretty much. So, Juliana, I don't think she's a good champion. I really don't. Who has she fought besides Amanda? I would love to know. Because, yes, you fought Raquel, but Raquel got the title because she got lucky. I'm just going to put that out there. It's a hot take. I understand that, but that's what this show is for. At the same time, I 100% pick Kayla. Kayla has way too much power. She will control the whole fight. Her footwork is ridiculous. And her control over the fight is amazing. I think she's able to withstand a lot of the power that Juliana can throw, but if Juliana can handle it, she might be able to pull it off and win, but at the same time, I don't really think she can, to be honest. So, yeah. But with that being said, let's go to the next song. We got Lifer by Down. Stay tuned, guys. Stay tuned. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Combat Talk, your favorite MMA show. That was Lifer by Down. Just gotta point that out real quick. Now, on to our next segment. We're gonna switch it up this week. We got the best fighters from Pride. And I know people in my generation are like, what's Pride? Well, you hooligans and you fools. Pride was one of the most epic fight companies there were. Yes, they were known for having fighters on steroids. I will point that out. However, they did put on some great fights and some crazy fights. First, let's go through the rundown of some of the greatest fighters from Pride. We have Fedor, we have Wanderlei Silva, we have Dan Henderson, we have Miracle Crow Cop, we have Rampage Jackson, we have Mark Hunt, we have Chuck Liddell, we have Rickson Gracie. Let's start from the bottom up. People are like, for the people that don't know who Rickson Gracie is, man is probably the most legendary MMA fighter in Pride and jiu-jitsu person. He's literally like a jiu-jitsu god in the community. Rickson Gracie fought over 300 fights in Pride and did not lose one. That is saying something for the people out there. Rickson Gracie is probably one of the greatest jiu-jitsu competitors too. His son Kron is also a competitor in jiu-jitsu and also fights too. He didn't do so well in his last fight, but we're not going to mention that. Rickson has been much of a leader and done so much for the community and has brought so much knowledge to all of us and helped us, especially with breathing techniques, to help us with our stamina and help us get more effort and more energy into what we do. If you want to know more about Rickson Gracie, go order his book, Breathe by Rickson Gracie. It's RICKSONGRACIE. One more time. RICKSONGRACIE. It's called Breathe. You can find it on Amazon. You can probably go to Barnes & Noble and find it too. But it's all over the internet. It's an amazing book. I've read it multiple times. Probably one of my favorite books I've ever read. And we're going to end on that note for him. But on to our next fighter. We have Chuck Liddell. Everybody's like, well, Chuck Liddell fought in the UFC. Chuck Liddell fought in the UFC. He also fought in Pride, guys. Let's not act stupid here. He fought in other companies. We know that. Chuck Liddell did very well in this company. He did fight a lot of the greats, and he did do very well. At the same time, he wasn't there for very long. He was there because of the UFC. He wanted more fights and couldn't get it, so he went to Pride and then came back. Mark Hunt, one of the greatest heavyweights you will ever see, started out in Pride and then went to the UFC. Mark Hunt is known for his nonchalant knockouts. And you're like, what's a nonchalant knockout? Well, you knock out the person and you go, yep, I got it, and walk away. Rampage Jackson, known for his slam, pretty good. Miracle Crow Cop, known for the famous head kick. I don't even gotta explain that one. Dan Henderson, known for the H-bomb, no knockout. All I gotta say. Wanderlei Silva, known for his knees. Fedor, known for his heavy hands. It's crazy. It's crazy to think how many fighters actually were doing steroids in Pride. A lot of people, the debate is, did the steroids make them better? Without the steroids, were they good or were they not? We saw that with Wanderlei. He was able to win some fights in the UFC, but couldn't really regain it. But with that notice, on to our next song. We got Gemstone by Quinn Griggs. I hope you guys enjoy this. Hello, people, and welcome back. That was Gemstone by Quentin Griggs. Go check him out. He's got amazing music. With that being said, unfortunately, guys, this is our last segment. To end this show, we're going to talk about another organization that hasn't been talked about for a while. We're going to talk about Strikeforce, one of the most legendary organizations. They did turn into Bellator, and then Bellator's dead now, so very sad. But let's talk about the best fighters. You already know what we're about to do. Let's run through the list. We got Gilbert Melendez. We got Ronda Rousey. We got Nick Diaz, Jake Shields, Chris Cyborg, Tyron Woodley, Robbie Lawler, Frank Shamrock. You already know how we're about to do this. We're going to do this from the bottom. Frank Shamrock, also known as the stepbrother for Ken Shamrock. Frank, in my opinion, was the better brother because he was more well-rounded and he just had more power, more strength, and could really beat anybody. But Robbie Lawler, a lot of people are like, Robbie fought in the UFC, Robbie fought in Pride, blah, 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 blah. Well, he did leave UFC for a little bit to go to Strikeforce just to fight some better people and to give himself a break and give him some new energy and some better fights. Robbie did very well. Then he went back to UFC, but he was able to be the champ in Strikeforce. So, on to Tyron Woodley. I know people are like, Tyron Woodley fought in the Strikeforce? Yes, he did. I know it's very shocking. He actually did very well in Strikeforce. Did very well for himself. He was able to give himself a name and then go into the UFC. Chris Cyborg. This woman is a complete monster. She is crazy in MMA. Everybody should know who she is. She's been champ in Strikeforce. She's been champ in the UFC. She's been champ in Bellator. And I think she's actually champ in PFL right now that I think of it. But could be wrong in the last one, but women, my female fighters, you need to be looking out for Chris Cyborg because the woman is still fighting. But on to Jake Shields. He was very good, but I think if he had a chance to go with the title again, he probably could, but at the same time not. But he has a career I think a lot of people underestimate and think that they should watch. Like, if you want to watch good fights, watch Jake Shields. He is a #1 recommendation. Nick Diaz. This man fought Frank Shamrock, actually. It was a very entertaining fight. A lot of smack talk, a lot of who's going to win, who's not going to win. Nick Diaz did do well for Strikeforce. He can knock out people, but not very hard, I would say. Ronda, she did fight Misha, and unfortunately that didn't go Misha's way, but Misha was able to regain confidence and later win fights in her career. Ronda did well in Strikeforce, but we're not going to speak about her too much because, well, you're not welcome back in the MMA community, so why should I talk about you? Sorry. On to our last one, we have Gilbert Melendez. Gilbert's probably one of the most entertaining fighters you'll ever watch. This man puts on wars. He puts on so much pressure and strength and so many different abilities in fights, and he's able to showcase all of it. And he did it through his whole career, not even just in Strikeforce, but in the UFC too. I do recommend Gilbert for any fighter that's like looking for an exciting fight. Watch Gilbert. I'm telling you, this man is pure entertainment. You think he's boring? No. Go watch him. Go watch him and Diego Sanchez. But unfortunately, that has been Combat Talk today. I'm your favorite host, Sophia. We'll see you guys back next week. On to our last song, Change by the Deftones. I will see you guys next week.